Please welcome Garrett Harper, Head of Business Development at Squads.
Hey everybody. I was thinking this morning, the ironic thing about the name of this talk, Reinventing Banking, is that Squads, where I work, has never had a bank account. At first, it's because no one would bank us, and then we learned how to bank ourselves. So for the last 5 years, we've been operating on our own financial infrastructure and stablecoins. And now what we do is we make that stack available to every business, individual, and developer. So the question is, what is Squads? Well, we started back in 2021 when there were a lot of teams moving serious capital on-chain. But the problem was they didn't have the tools to properly manage this type of capital. So the first thing that we did is we built the infrastructure, an operating system to secure and manage tokenized assets. And on top of that infrastructure, we built Squads Multisig. Squads Multisig, if you fast forward today, has over 500 treasury organizations and secures over $15 billion in value. Teams use this to do their treasury, to secure their tokens, and also their programs that are on-chain. It's for very crypto-native teams that are building on top of Solana. The strategy is simple, and it continues to be. We build trusted, secure infrastructure to aggregate capital, and then we make that capital productive by building best-in-class services on top. We've then taken that strategy and turned it into an ecosystem, going from extremely crypto-native to more and more of our customers in the last 2 years have focused on stablecoins, and now there are people from outside the crypto industry that are rapidly adopting stablecoins as well. The base of this is Grid, a stablecoin API for developers and enterprises. This is the foundation of everything that we do. We took that infrastructure that I talked about just a few slides ago, we turned it into very easy-to-use APIs. We built this for ourselves so that we could build faster while we were building these new stablecoin products, but now we make it available for everyone else. One of these products is called Altitude. It's a global business account, also like a business banking account for stablecoins. Then we have Fuse, a personal finance app. It's the consumer counterpart to Altitude. When I think about how I use this, I have an LLC. One little side note, we all get paid in stablecoins at Squads. You don't see a lot of crypto companies doing that. So my LLC gets paid to Altitude, and then Fuse is for my personal portfolio. Just so you don't think we have a bunch of pretty UI pictures, we do have a decent track record. Like I said, we've secured about $15 billion in value, $2 billion in stablecoins on the platform right now. And the two products that I'm really going to stick on and highlight today, which are Altitude and Grid, have only been out for 2 months. Altitude has over 330 businesses signed up and verified, which means they've gone through that KYB process. And then on Grid, our API, we have over 265 teams that are using it today. Now the question is, what's next, right? You have a very, very high-level overview of what Squads does, but where do we go from here? Well, we started with very crypto-native capital, but over time, as stablecoins continue to consume more of global finance, and that's what our current customers want, but also the world demands, we're going from a crypto company to a stablecoin fintech. It's exciting for Squads, it's exciting for users, it's also exciting for me, because if you've been on a first date and said you work in crypto, it doesn't always go that well. So, 2 of the products are going to take us into this next evolution of spreading stablecoins, not just into crypto, but to everybody else, and to consume global finance, is going to be Grid and Altitude. So I'm going to dive into both of these, starting with Grid. Grid, the easiest way to think about it is banking as a service for stablecoin finance. So you get programmable accounts, cards, yields, payments, compliance, data, and more, all in a simple API. So what used to take months and millions of dollars with a bank, if you want to build a stablecoin product today, you can do so with Grid. Now, there's really 4 reasons why we built Grid at a high level. One is because outside of AI, if you go to finance, all the innovation is happening in stablecoins. The second is we've been building in this space for over 5 years, so we kind of know what we're talking about. The third is we've seen how powerful it can be, and we also think we can see behind the corners and where this space is going. And 4, we've also seen how hard it is to get right. So who's Grid designed for? Besides ourselves, there's really 2 core audiences that we see. You may have been in here earlier when you saw verticalized fintechs and what can power that. That is for Grid. These are developers that want to launch stablecoin fintech products. One reason they're doing so is because they believe it's the future of finance, and the other reason is you can expand to more markets quickly. The other one is enterprises. These are teams that want or need a stablecoin strategy, and then they need to execute it. The thing that both of these parties have in common is that they both want to focus on products and revenue and not infrastructure. We often say our little slogan is ship products, not infrastructure, and that's how we sell Grid. So stablecoins don't just enable better banking, they enable self-driven finance. This isn't a term that we've come up with. You've probably seen Ramp, Brex, and some other companies like Stripe over the last year. They really focus on what they call autonomous finance. Now, they put out some really, really cool products. They can often flag, they can predict, but they can't do true end-to-end finance. It's more of a co-pilot. You really have to have your hands on the wheel at all times. So the question is, like, why aren't they building these end-to-end workflows that we see in the next, whether it's 2 years, 5 years, or 10 years, is going to be the end state? The reason for this is that there's really 2 challenges right now in self-driven finance. The first is that AI is probabilistic, money can't be. I'm sure a lot of you guys use ChatGPT. When you're talking to it, it might give you an answer. Let's just say it's anywhere from 10 to 90% wrong. That wrong answer can still be interesting. It might give you something new that you haven't thought of. It might inspire an answer that you would have never come to by yourself. But that logic falls apart when you're talking about money. If you take your customers' bank accounts and you hook it up to an AI agent because you want to do consumer shopping, you want to do B2B payments or bill pay, and it's 10 to 90% wrong, it's not interesting, it's a news headline. The other is that there's a gap. There's a gap in the account versus where your money is and where execution happens. So to make this simple for you to really take in, if you think about building a traditional fintech company today and you want to build autonomous finance, you have your customer's money in a bank account, you have the policies in your software, and then you have settlement, so how the money actually moves in this global, fragmented financial system. None of these systems were meant to talk to each other, and they don't. And you can't do any type of end-to-end deterministic self-driven finance because of that. I think one analogy that I resonate with is just self-driven cars. It's not necessarily always the intelligence that's the bottleneck, it's the roads. We have these extremely smart cars that can react, respond, and they can plan better than we can, but then we're forcing them onto these roads that were built for humans, flawed humans at best, right? And so we've seen where we're still not at full autonomous driving. We're having the same problem in finance, or that's what these companies are running into. They're trying to build on roads, aka financial infrastructure that was built before we had stablecoins or blockchains or money that can think. The good news is we can't go around and rebuild all these physical roads, but in finance we don't have to. We actually already have. It's called stablecoins. If you're dealing with stablecoins and with grid, you can do this layer where you can put it all on stablecoins, programmable accounts, and policies can all live on the same place. You bring in probabilistic intelligence with deterministic execution, and that's how you enable true self-driven finance. This is something that Grid is going to lean into, and it's going to be a huge part of the roadmap for the next 5 to 10 years. So the first part of Grid was enabling anyone to build stablecoin fintech. The next level after that is going to be autonomous finance and how you can do true end-to-end workflows. So Grid enables others to build innovative products. Altitude is us doing it ourselves. It's a flagship product. It's also a showcase for what Grid can do. Altitude, business banking platform built on stablecoin rails. I put these quotes around banking because if you have a startup, for example, one of the first things you do or tell your co-founder is, we need to get a bank account. Well, the truth is, you don't need a bank account. What you need are the services, the modern financial services that a bank provides. You need things like payments. You might need a card. You need yield. Well, for the last several decades, that has been a bank. But now with stablecoins and internet capital markets, that's not the case anymore. Altitude brings all these modern financial services into one business account that anyone around the world can use. You get global payments, you get stablecoins and traditional fiat rails, you get treasury management, you have yield, you have cards, bill pay, invoicing, you get the entire financial stack, and it's run on stablecoins. So who's Altitude for? Today, it's not for everyone. Who I'd say Altitude for is teams that operate in stablecoins to some degree. So this could be 1, 10%, or 100% of their portfolio. A lot of our companies do. They only use us for their financial services. But say stablecoins are just 10% of your balance sheet, there's a good chance you're using us and about 5 other tools. Now, what I think is going to happen over time is, 1, the market is growing, but also more and more companies are going to be brought into that space. I told you earlier, all of us, the employees, get paid in stablecoins. Well, when I first joined Squads and I got paid in stablecoins, I would immediately off-ramp it to my bank account. I was like, why would I want to hold this in stablecoins? Well, over time, I started to see how I could earn 4 to 5% interest. At first, you kind of overlook it, but then when you start checking in once a month and you see these interest payments start coming in, you're like, okay, maybe I'll let this balance grow a bit. Then after that, I'm somebody that likes to invest in tokenized assets. Now, right now, there's a limited supply of tokenized assets and what people might want to invest in. But now we have stocks on chain, we have RWAs coming on chain more and more. If you want to invest in those assets and you're receiving payments in stablecoins, it's just another reason to leave it there. So over time, I've seen my balance just grow from 0%, because I was immediately off-ramping, to 10%. Now I'm up to 50%. And I believe that this is going to happen with companies as well. So we're going to see that. Then we're also going to see the stablecoin market grow. Today, the stablecoin market is about $320 billion in value. Scott Bessent and the government thinks it might be around $3 trillion in 2030, but who really cares? The point is, it's going to be the direction that matters. So the Altitude advantage. The core Altitude advantage is that we're built natively on stablecoin rails. This unlocks a lot of things, but we see 3 particular. 1 is reach. Because stablecoins are global by default, you can launch in more markets faster. We went in 150 countries in day 1 with Altitude. Most financial services that launch, they might have one country, maybe 2 or 3. The second is proximity to internet capital markets. The closer you are to the source, the faster and more efficient you can move. We built the first version of Altitude that's out today in 4 months. That's because we had our own financial infrastructure, and then we plugged into things like Jupyter and Drift and others to have yield, trading, FX, and more. The other is self-driven finance, which I've already talked to. You see this today with a lot of traditional fintechs. We're going to offer true end-to-end self-driven finance. I think today, it's hard for people to imagine, but I think it's going to become the norm. Stablecoins have become the default rails of global finance. Today, a lot of companies that are first touching stablecoins and they're exploring it, they do all these off-chain transactions, and then ever so often they'll do something on-chain. By on-chain, I mean stablecoins. You maybe have heard of the stablecoin sandwich. This means that you on-ramp funds, so you turn fiat into stablecoins, and then you do one transfer maybe across the world to another entity, and then you off-ramp on the other side. That can save you some money, and it can also be a faster payment. Well, it's still a pretty bad ratio. That company is doing thousands, hundreds of thousands of transactions on-chain, and ever so often is dealing with stablecoins. We think over time, that ratio is going to flip. We already see it with the companies using our products today, and we think this is going to happen across the globe. As that happens, we'll go 1-to-1, then 10-to-1, and then 100-to-1. And as you do that, you start seeing the true benefits of stablecoins and also the true benefits of our products. So Altitude is what moves businesses into that future. Grid is going to let them build it. We see this as a massive wave that we're both going to ride and accelerate. Thank you, everybody.